Welcome to KingCity Conversations. My name is Chesley Lundy. Here we go again. I got Sydney, Christian, Derek. How you guys doing today?
Hey, how we doing?
We're doing fantastic.
Yeah, we're going to have a great episode. It's so great. I'm sure I'll mess something up today, but that's going to be all right. So, we got the rules. We got it. See, I told you I was going to mess something up. How to gain points. This is how we do it, guys. All right. You got to make a good argument. Got to ask good questions, and for understanding, cross-examination purposes, maintain a civil atmosphere so we don't have a bad experience. Making jokes, zingers that don't violate the rules below. How to lose points. These are the rules below. Being degrading, being derogatory, Christian. Crash jokes, Christian. Bad arguments, Christian. No.
Hey.
And if you just don't know what you're talking about when it comes to the Bible, Christian, you might lose some points. So, no, it's all right. We're going to have a lot of fun. All right. We're getting into the first question of the day. First question of the day. We're talking about Kanye West, y'all. Kanye West. So he hangs out with Kim for a few years. They end up getting a divorce, and then he just goes all loco, right? And so he ends up buying a house next to Kim. He ends up trying to, like, I guess, go on Instagram, shows a decapitated head of Pete Davidson, who Kim is now with right now. But can we talk about Pete Davidson for a second? The guy is the rebound master. Man, he really is. And before you know it, Kanye and Pete are going to be getting together. But right now, Kanye wants Kim back. And so the question is, are Kanye's actions moral? What do you guys think? I'm going to go with Sydney first. Sydney, come on, girl.
I think absolutely not. Like, he is harassing his ex-wife. I understand that, like, he's upset about his family breaking apart, but that's no excuse for him to behave the way he is. Like, it's just rude and crass, and he's trying to weaponize his audience to go after Pete Davidson and Kim. Like, not at all. No, it's creepy. It's disgusting. Ugh, not a fan. Don't like it.
Not a fan. Christian, what do you think, bro?
I don't think his actions are entirely moral. It sound pretty
Entirely.
Well,
he did have a qualifier there. Let's
bear with me. I'm getting over bronchitis. Look.
Oh, we were just worried about your opinion. Sorry, bronchitis.
Bear with
not
me.
The way.
I have a bad opinion. What I'm saying is, I think if Kanye didn't act with a certain degree of disdain, regret, anger, sadness, I would have a problem with that, because that was his wife of many years, and they have kids together. And if she just left and he didn't care, well, that's a sign of a problem. Instead, the opposite is true. He's acting in one of the most extreme fashions, like harassing her, buying the house across the street, posting stuff on Instagram to the point where he gets banned for 24 hours. This is not how you grieve a divorce. He is grieving a divorce, and there's a lot going on with Kanye that's probably unexplained to most of the public eye, that the public has a massive opinion on. So that makes things worse, just for the convolutedness of it, and also the fact that it's Kanye West. So, I mean, this is a guy who made his house in a stadium, for Pete's sake, in Atlanta to make the Donda album. So, I mean, say what you want about Kanye, he's not a normal human being, and that's part of what makes him great. But this stuff is crossing the line. This is not how you grieve a divorce. And this isn't how you try and win your wife back. You don't beg her to come back in a concert like he did. This is not a moral way to do things.
I feel like trying to win her back in some ways is immoral, because it's kind of violating her. Like, she has already said, like, I'm not interested in having a relationship with you. Like, we're done, right? So, like, just by begging her to come back is kind of violating her boundaries and, like, trying to get her to do something that she already said she doesn't want to. It's kind of like violating her consent.
Yeah, I don't. It's interesting that there's like a lot of nuance when it comes to Yeezy. I really would have considered that being a possibility. But like, I think Sydney's right. I think there are some things when it comes to when divorce does come, like there are of course spaces for reconciliation, but that's got to be done, biblically, properly, respectfully, right? Groveling is no way to act as a person. Neither is to be a stalker or to make violent content for your fans to try to cathartically express how much you're hurting. For a while, Kanye was leading this very large positive movement that could have been something very, very meaningful as far as the American church was concerned. Like so many people were asking, is like, hey, what is this guy all about? And I think it comes down to, it's like, how much is that being instilled in the heart, right? How much does he have people around him like trying to uplift him, be like, dude, you're going through the worst of it right now. You have to lean into what you claim you are as opposed to like what you're feeling. And I think that's a difficult thing.
Well, let's be honest. Kanye needs some help. You don't do what Kanye does without understanding that the dude is mentally ill. So, but here's what I have to say. Like, let's look at the score for a second. Christian, it's not exactly moral. We're gonna go down some more. I can't handle the argument, bro.
Okay.
No,
fair enough.
almost,
No.
but not quite, not quite there. Yes, I just whatever. Second question. I get to rule on the point, so that's what's happening right now. It's awesome. All right, now we got another one. Reaction to John MacArthur revelation. So for those of you that are on here watching that don't know who John MacArthur is, he's some 80-year-old preacher dude, and he is man, he just had a church where he talks about church discipline, and I guess came out not too long ago that Kanye, no, John MacArthur had a couple in the church where the I think the husband was actually a pastor inside the church, wasn't he?
He was a teacher, yeah.
He was
wasn't
like a teacher,
pastor.
deacon,
He
something
led,
like that.
like a children's youth choir.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so he was at some level of authority in the church. They got heated, had a divorce. MacArthur and his crew put them in counseling, and then he blasted her from the stage for not living like a godly Christian and told the church to shun her completely as an unbeliever. What John MacArthur didn't tell everybody was that the husband was abusing his kids, his wife, and lying about it, and having a position of authority at all times. Told them to go through counseling, and she actually did it. And the moment she signed for a divorce, then MacArthur covered it up and told the church to shun her. So the question is, well, there is no question. There's just reaction. Reactions to John MacArthur revelation. Man, I am hot today for whatever reason. All right. Derek, what do you got, man?
Man, like I love how it's always the condemnation of the wife first, as if like this guy didn't do so many things wrong to begin with. Like, why is it always seem to a space where you can scapegoat onto the woman or onto the wife in these types of circumstances when the husband, the man, the spiritual leader, whatever you want to subscribe to, a husband's role, to a man's role in a marriage, is just completely getting away with all of these insane things. Like it's absurd to me that you even entertain like the idea of like excommunication or just kicking this person out in any context, but let alone when you have this huge amount of just trauma and abuse and all this other stuff, and be like, no, because you are the victim, we get to push you away because we just don't want to deal with it. That's so wrong, so messed up.
That is true. Christian, what do you got, man?
I think here's some problems here.
I don't think it's entirely moral. No, sorry. I just couldn't help myself right there.
Look, there's from the facts of the case. So uh, I know there's a lot of MacArthur defenders that are saying, hey, Julie Royce that put out these articles is a feminist, liberal feminist, and we shouldn't believe her. It's just a hit piece on John MacArthur. Her written work is actually more conservative if you actually read it, which I don't think many of them have. I've only read one thing of hers, and it didn't seem very feministy from my perspective, or even liberal at all. And that doesn't even matter. The facts of the case are this. Uh, John MacArthur back in 2002 publicly shamed this woman. John MacArthur's church back in 2002 asked this woman to go through counseling and that they would provide a separate place of her to live with her kids if she goes to biblical counseling. The husband admits to some of this abuse at the counseling. They did not report it, even though they are mandatory reporters. I think the guy who was doing the biblical counseling, I think his last name is Carey. I don't remember his first name. I think he gave John MacArthur filtered information that was heavily biased towards the husband. Um, and this woman, Eileen Gray, suffered abuse. One of the recommendations to her was to go suffer like Jesus and be an example for your kids to teach them how to suffer, which I think was absolutely ridiculous. It begs the question that are there other grounds for divorce besides one person being a Christian, one person not? There actually are, and I don't think that Grace Community Church even communicated these, or even abided by these, or even studied these. But in 2002, they defended this man. She reports to the abuse to the police. There wasn't really much going on. She files for divorce. The church excommunicates for her. She moves, miles away, goes to a new church. And in 2004, they found out that this guy not only physically abused her and her children, but also sexually abused her children. So she files another police report. They arrest him. He gets convicted. He's been serving 21 years prison sentence. And the reason this is news now is because he just had his parole hearing last week. It's pretty disturbing. And in church, we found out that these guys are Grace Community Church has basically said this guy is a prison minister now. They're still defending him after all these years. There's been no apology. There's been no remorse. Al Mohler even wrote a letter in defense of this man. And then it turns out that Al Mohler has since said, I regret even doing that. So he's washed his hands of it. But an 80-year-old pastor who's widely regarded for his intellect has stepped in a pile of poop that he has refused to wipe off his shoe. He repeatedly has had opportunities to come forth and repent of this and apologize. I believe he should step down at this point because the offenses are so egregious for someone of his stature. He should honestly know better. This whole thing is disgusting to me. I didn't really hold John MacArthur in that high regard to begin with. Him and R.C. Sproul are kind of I say crusty Christians. Like they're just not appealing to me. They're more after their intellect than after pursuit of Jesus. That's just personal opinion. So, but I mean, I know so many people that look up to John MacArthur and are still defending him even after the facts have come out. These are actual facts that we can look at. We don't have to care about who's presenting them.
Sydney, what do you got?
This story makes me so angry on a level I cannot express. Like
you kind of have to. You're on a show where you have to express your anger.
Well, I can express it. We just might need to invest in like a little bleep button.
Okay. That's fair.
I find it so evil and terrible, and it makes me so mad. Christian and I had a conversation about this when this article first came out, and I was so angry to the point that I cried. I'm just so angry about this. But something Derek said kind of reminded me of the conversation I think we had last week about whether church is misogynistic or not. And I think using examples like this, you can make a really good argument because it is outrageous that this man was abusing their kids, abusing her, and the church told her she was in the wrong for leaving. Like I read the article, and one of the quotes was that and this is from like the when he was tried. So this isn't just like a quote from 20 years, like someone saying something that happened 20 years ago. This is like from the paperwork and documents of the time, but that when he was like beating one of his kids, and the other kids were witnessing this, and his kids were so scared that they thought daddy was going to kill them. Like, and John MacArthur and his church just let this happen and tried to put her and those kids back in that situation. That is evil. Like, that is so beyond evil. I cannot believe that ever happened. It makes me so angry. Like, that does not align with my version of Christianity. I cannot believe this happened. I'm just so angry.
It
Well-
opens the question too for like, so their argument was that wasn't grounds enough for divorce. They kept trying to get her to stay with him, and it's like, okay, do we remember whenever King David was running from Saul? He wasn't, he was running from Saul because Saul was after, trying to kill him, and he runs to the temple, and he kind of violated the rule because there's water and food there that he, at a normal law circumstance, you're not supposed to drink, but he eats and drinks it. There's exceptions to laws like that God allows. This, and I think in marriage is a very similar instance where this woman is running for her life essentially and trying to explain to this church that he's doing egregious things that I think God would look at and be like, dude, yeah, leave him. This is grounds for divorce. This is something that I think is moral, and for you to stay with him is going to be deadly to you. You are essentially David running from Saul at this point. And they're sitting there excommunicating her and shaming her publicly on more than one occasion because she's actually trying to leave a man who is violent and dangerous and evil. That is so egregious. And for someone of John MacArthur's intellect to just ignore something like that, which is why I think he got bad information from Carrie, but it still is damning on John MacArthur's part because you have a man like that on your staff. You haven't vetted something like that. You just take his word for it. Even now, to the point where he was convicted in 2004, you still defend this man? Like, egregious.
Yeah, that's the problem that I have. So here's what I'm going to say as a pastor. Like, if you are being abused by someone, yeah, you need to get out of that relationship. And if the church isn't helping you, you need to get out of that church. And so I think that she's got a grounds for clergy abuse at this point. So that's another
Definitely.
one.
Yeah.
So they're going to have some legal troubles going forward. Definitely.
I hope so. They deserve.
I agree. Christian knows my view about John MacArthur. So I'm like, this does not surprise me at all. So, all right, let's go to the third question. All right. Is there a problem with celebrity pastors? Wait a minute. I'm a pastor. I want to be a celebrity. Is there a problem with that? No. Look at this. The headlines. Maybe there is. I don't know. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Hillsong Church says Brian Houston, its founder, breached code of conduct. Carl Lentz accused of repeated sexual abuse by Hillsong pastor. Exclusive, obviously, John MacArthur shamed excommunicated mother for refusing to take back child abuser. And then Mark Driscoll accused of leadership abuse again. Again. Oh, well, if I'm a pastor, I want to be a celebrity. Those headlines make it sound like I've got a problem. All right. I got to hear. Derek, you're first, bro.
This just brings up my my favorite book in the Bible. There's nothing new under the sun, and all is vanity.
Was that
And
third hesitations? Third hesitation?
Yeah. That's second CYA. I think it's a time honored thing. Like humanity, right? Won't say men. I'll say humanity. Like, we do not do well being the center of the spotlight. It's corrosive to who we are supposed to be, which is a selfless representative and agent of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And so much of his of just his ministry and his teachings to us was, hey, you need to be humbling yourself constantly. So if you were in the limelight, if you were the guy, if you were standing in front of thousands of people, you need to have such a strong team around you to just keep you in check, because otherwise you get all those headlines where it's like, why shouldn't I be able to do those things? Because I'm the guy. They lose perspective. They lose context. It was like, hey, you're not the guy. You're really nobody because you're doing the opposite of what you're saying you're supposed to do.
That's good. Christian, what do you got?
I think there's a problem with celebrity pastors. I think part of the problem is that we make them celebrities to begin with. We glorify these people sometimes, and it looks to the outside world that we're doing things that are no different than what we do with other pop culture icons, even like Kanye West, where we prop them up for their distinct abilities compared to the rest of us normal plebeians, and they're propped up, and we look at them and put them on a pedestal, and then we're surprised whenever they fall. I think we've seen more and more celebrity pastors fall because we forgot the assumption of total depravity. And even though Christians are saved, we still have sin living in our flesh. We still have sin bearing down on our souls. We're just free as far as our wills because Jesus saved us. But that doesn't mean that we don't commit sins. And pastors are not above sinning, which is something where I think the American church as a whole has lost sight of. I think that when we put these people on pedestals like that, especially people like John MacArthur, who, look, he's incredibly smart, a very gifted orator. I loved when he went on the Ben Shapiro Sunday Special to try and share Jesus with Ben Shapiro. These are the same people that can commit vile acts, and I think Jordan Peterson put things in perspective too, because whenever he went to prison, there's a big conflict going on, and there's just this one prisoner that looked normal, and he was like, "Hey, you should come in here. This will keep you safe. This area will you won't be any trouble in here." And he follows this prisoner, and he's safe, and they're just talking with this guy. It turns out the guy that was helping him was a serial killer, like murdered a bunch of people. And Jordan Peterson, a clinical psychologist, was at like thinking about that moment when he left prison, like, I was connecting emotionally to a guy who's murdered a bunch of people, and I don't see much difference between him and I. And that's because epistemologically, from my point of view, my perspective and my philosophy, there isn't. This guy acted on his sinful nature, and Jordan Peterson hasn't yet, as to that degree. But all pastors are like that. They're no different than you and me. They have the same capacity to sin. They have the same capacity to fall. They are just as corrupted by the total depravity of human beings because of the fall in Adam, in the first Adam. And to put them on a pedestal in a way that inflates their ego is just as dangerous on our parts as it is them. So is there a problem with celebrity pastors? Yeah, I think it has to do more with what we're doing to prop these people up, just as much as it does with their corrupt nature as a whole.
I love the fact that you said it's because our what we're really good at. So people make us a celebrity because we have alliterative diarrhea. It makes no sense. No sense. All right, Sydney, come on, girl.
I think there is a huge problem with celebrity pastors, and I think it's because at some point it kind of stops being about Jesus and it kind of starts being all about them. Like, number 4 on that list, Mark Driscoll. I don't know if you guys listen to the Rise and Fall of Mars Hill podcast, but that to me really seemed to paint a picture of a man who at a certain point was really all about like building his own kingdom, his own like empire, getting his voice out to thousands of people. And like, yes, he's saying it's for Jesus, but it really seemed like it was about Mark and less about Jesus. And so, yeah, I think there is a huge problem with celebrity pastors where at some point they kind of stop living for Jesus and start living through themselves and using Jesus as an excuse to justify their celebrity status. So sorry for roasting you, Chesley, because you said you wanted to be a celebrity. But
Well, the funny thing is you look at it, what we're talking about goes like it's for everyone.
Mhm.
I don't know if celebrity's good for anyone, let alone, not just a pastor, but like, look at Kanye, man.
Right. I think like celebrity culture in general is like pretty terrible for our society.
I don't think humanity can take the weight of that glory and adoration. You just crack under the pressure. And so you obviously, when you crack, either you crack in one of two ways. You think you're all that in a bag of chips, or you crack because of depression and manic episodes and all of the stuff that goes along with of losing it mentally. So you see one of two ways, and they're both wrong. So Mark and John have the same problem. They have narcissism, right? That's their issue. But you have
Yeah.
Kanye, who's going the opposite direction, and his mental capacity is like deteriorating. His emotional capacity is deteriorating because you can't handle, as a person, you can't handle the weight and the glory that is only built for God alone. So I don't know if celebrity status is really healthy for anyone. So the more celebrity you get, the more ego you have to get rid of. But it's not my show. I'm not the one doing the
10 points to
commentary.
Gryffindor.
Yeah. I think it always comes down to what type of chips you're talking about too. Because if they're like baked kettle, like and like salt and vinegar, I think you're gonna be better off than like that fried stuff. I think that's
Oh, okay.
I
Well,
think it's healthier.
I think that was really, really good as a dad joke. So,
Okay.
yeah, you almost beat Christian. I don't even know how Christian won.
No.
I don't know how Christian won. I don't know. I'm the one doing the points, and I'm like, how did this happen? So,
Look at that.
oh, all right. Well, unfortunately for all of us, we have to shut up for 30 seconds to let Christian talk unabated.
All right, here I go. Look, I just want to reiterate grace and mercy, even on John MacArthur's part. I do think that he deserves culpability, and I think he's at the point now where he should probably step down and repent of this debacle. But let's talk about legacy here, because I don't think this tarnishes his absolute legacy. It's definitely a stain on his resume, but it isn't to the degree of something else we've seen, to the likes of like Ravi Zacharias, things like that. John MacArthur still did a lot of really good things with his life, still proliferated the gospel to many, stood up to the government in areas where I thought was great and fantastic. So I don't think his legacy is tarnished for all, but I do want to reiterate grace and mercy, forgiveness, and I think those are important virtues to live by. And I want to reiterate what Chesley said too. The more you get love and adoration, the more you have to check your ego and leave it behind.
Did you guys hear that? These things are awesome. Like, these are the new sunglasses. That's what happens. They were just talking to me. So I'm hearing all sorts of things. And it says I have 3 new messages. It's so great.
Iron Man now?
I'm telling you, there's 2 cameras and a speaker and a microphone. It's Ray-Ban. It's for like Facebook and stuff. That's like a plug for Ray-Ban and unfortunately Facebook. You know, it's unpaid, so you'll love it. All right,
Tell
Christian,
Jarvis to behave.
Man, I cannot believe. Yes. When I wear these, I feel like Tony Stark. That's what matters. That's what matters. Hey, we'll see you next time on KingCity Conversations. Hopefully, for the love of God, we'll have somebody else win other than Christian. We'll see you next time.